The elements, a visual exploration of every known atom in the universe. Let's start off our journey with scandium. Not Scandinavia, unfortunately. It's scandium. The scandium you're seeing here, it's vacuum distilled scandium crystals, and according to the label, they are designed for use in daylight spectrometra halide arc lights. Scandium is the first of the elements you've probably never heard of. The total world trade in scandium in pure metallic form is less than 100 pounds a year. No wonder it's so unknown. So it's safe to say that very few people have even seen this element in pure form. We have seen iron in pure form, certainly, and very few people have seen scandium in pure form. The trade in scandium oxide is around 10 tons per year, still a tiny amount by world standards when we're shipping millions of tons a year. Scandium is an example of an element that is not expensive. That is expensive not because it's practically rare in the earth, but because there's no place where it's concentrated. No one really cares for this stuff, and no one really owns a lot of that stuff. For most other elements, even much rarer overall. Other elements are much rarer overall, and they are more expensive. But scandium is spread thinly all over the earth. If someone finds a mine, well, too bad, that mine is not going to go too deep. Scandium is used to make metals, make strong metals and bright lights. A tiny amount mixed with aluminum creates some of the strongest aluminum alloys ever known, which are used in fighter jets and, you guessed it, baseball bats. Home run! And even bicycle frames. I have a bike. But not the kind with scandium, that one's too expensive. There's not much practical uses for everyday use, so we're gonna have to skip ahead to its atomic weight. It's about 44.955910. See, it's starting to get off by a lot. Its density is 2.985. Its atomic radius is 184 picometers. Its crystal structure is a hexagonal prism. It has currently the best and the most widely spread out of all of the atomic emission spectrum shown so far, and its electron filing order came back to 3D and is starting to come back up. Its states of matter are kinda even, mostly found as a gas, but about as much as solid, and even less for water. Sorry, it's not water, it's liquid. Somebody says water again, especially me, I will slap myself. Next up, we have titanium, the titan of the metals. Even though titanium cards do not actually contain titanium, we like it because it sounds really good. It's one of the most popular element names out there, so popular that marketeers are applying it to hundreds of thousands of products, whether or not they contain actual titanium or not. If you have a golf club with the word titanium on it, it's molded into the metal of the club. Same kinds of actually thinking that is made of titanium, probably just something resembling titanium. This itself is a titanium blisk, short for plated impeller disc, which is used in small jet engines. Titanium stands for strength. In its name, it's named after the Titans. Why else do you think it's named titanium, the titan of metals? It's almost completely non-rusting and not allergic. So much so that it's popular for use inside the body in the form of artificial hip joints. When you want a new bone, when you want a new hip, when you want a new hand. Why would you want a new hand? I will not ask. You will probably use titanium. Titanium, the titans of the industry. So titanium metal is expensive. Its ore is quite abundant, surprisingly. The high cost comes from the difficulty of refining titanium. If someone made a cost-effective way of refining titanium, that guy would make billions. No wonder they're also used in pacemakers. Here we have an atomic weight of 47.867, we have a density of 4.507, its atomic radius is 176 picometers, its crystal structure, it's a hexagonal prism. And once again, it's starting to go up slowly on the 3D spectrum. It's still very varied in the atomic emission spectrum from what I can see, and it's like scandium, it's very, very even when it comes to its states of matter probabilities. It's about the same for gas, liquid, and solids. Although gas is still a bit higher than liquids, which is still a little bit higher than solids. Wait, is that right? Probably. This is a titanium beaded surface on the artificial hip joint, and this encourages the bone growth in it. Because of the beaded surface, it will keep rolling around and it won't have much friction. But I really want to touch it. I really like bumpy and beady surfaces. Ah, God. Next, we have vanadium. Nothing to do with J.D. Vance. I cannot talk politics, I'm too young. Vanadium is the 23rd element on the periodic table. Its tools, steel, and high speed strength. These are all the families of the iron alloys that are distinguished by their supreme hardness, their toughness, and by a few percent of vanadium in the form of a vanadium carbide. Luckily so, it will not be on the organic test. April Fools. While it is heavier than titanium, vanadium still is much harder. Because steel alloying is its main application, vanadium is often sold as a form of transportation for a vanadium master alloy, which is apparently meant to be added to the steel in the pot to make sure that it's tougher. Vanadium itself is really tough that we can just go ahead and make things out of it. Heck, if I made this out of vanadium, I'd probably never crack it in my life. I really wish it was transparent, or else it would be like 30 times stronger than normal glass, which would be double the strength of Superfest. Alright, I made those numbers up, but you're probably wondering what Superfest is. I just wanted to make that reference. Superfest is a glass made by East Germany during the Soviet era. I'm not gonna say more. Go Google it yourself. Even though it is not as glamorous and not as popular as a marketing tool as titanium is, you will find vanadium stamped prominently onto many tools. Mainly because those things are probably have a higher probability to be made of vanadium than they are with titanium strapped onto them. Mainly because vanadium alloy steel is more commonly used and less expensive to make than titanium is. That's a plus side at least. You can go ahead and have a safe bet that the vanadium stamped onto metal tools will be actually made of vanadium. Its atomic weight is 50.9415, its density is 6.110, and its atomic radius is 171 picometers. Its crystal structure is a cube. Oh, and its electron filing order is starting to come back up, and its atomic emission spectrum is a bit more even than I expected. It's mostly found as a solid or a gas, although it can also be found as a liquid. Next, we have chromium. Chromium, in the car industry at least, went through its chrome phase in the 1950s and the 1960s. Yeah! When cars were decked out with acres of the blinding chrome from bumper to bumper, literally. In fact, since the bumpers were very much chrome resided. This type of chrome, like virtually all pure chrome that you will see in everyday life, is a very thin layer of chromium metal, which is electroplated over a thick layer of nickel, which in turn is electroplated over a base of iron, zinc, brass, or even plastic. Wow, chromium is that expensive. This has nothing to do with Google Chrome, as an FYI. A microscopic layer you probably normally see of this element in a pure form, but when you alloy it with iron and nickel, chromium is a key ingredient in stainless steel, making up as much as the quarter of the weight of the stainless steel alloy. So whenever you have a spoon, you're holding some chromium and some iron. Why did I do an evil laugh? Because I just mentioned some surprising fact that I didn't learn myself. Because of its extremely shininess and highly corrosion resistant, it is very beautiful in many ways. The only reason chromium plating isn't used instead of silver in jewelry is that it's obviously too cheap to be taken seriously. It's too cheap. It's not as expensive as silver or gold or even, as you'll find later, aluminum. If you were listening and paying attention, you would know that would be false because this is April Fool's. I am recording this on April 1st. And here's the actual fact. And I'm not kidding you here. No April Fool's right now. Apparently, tin was more expensive than gold or platinum. Wow! One more good fact, it's also used in green paint and pigments. Its atomic weight is 51.996 watt, its density is 7.140, its atomic radius is 166 picometers, its crystal structure is a cube. It has not as varied atomic emission spectrum as the other elements, And it seems that it has increased a little bit before it has went down a little. It's mostly found as, surprisingly, a gas. It's second most found commonly as a solid, and it can be found as a liquid, also in small amounts. And that's it. For chromium at least. Last but not least for today, we have manganese. Manganese. That sounds a lot like manga. Along with red iron oxide, aka rust, black manganese oxide pigments are among the earliest known, having been found in cave paintings dating from at least 17,000 years ago during the caveman eras. But the most interesting episode in manganese history is much more recent. In the mid-1970s, there was much excitement about riches to be made collecting manganese nodules from deep underneath the ocean. Yeah, you heard me right there. The eccentric billionaire, some guy named Howard Hughes, set off a manganese rush by commissioning a special ship called the Hughes Glomar Explorer, where it was obviously going to go try to find manganese nodules down in the deep sea and the northwest of Hawaii. The whole thing was a complete lie. Hughes was hired by the CIA to participate in an elaborate Cold War ruse. The real purpose of the Glomar Explorer was to raise a sunken Russian ballistic missile submarine, the K-129. It was trying to get a Russian submarine. The CIA knew that any sort of deep-sea exploration in part of the ocean would immediately raise suspicions unless it had an airtight cover story of such sweeping scope and detail that no one but a conspiracy nut would even imagine that it was a cover-up. But it was a cover-up. Yes, there are manganese nodules on the ocean floor, but no one ever made any money from them, and most likely no one ever will make any money from them. The CIA didn't get their prize either. The section of the submarine containing the code books broke off as it was being raised, and in the end they got nothing more than a few torpedoes and 6 dead Russian crew members. What a waste. We're buried at sea with military honors. Farewell, my fellow Russians. Farewell, comrade. I guess we probably should mention that manganese is quite useful in its applications. It has been used, well, even if it is generally useless, it is collectible as a manganese nodule. An antique glazed tile showed the use of manganese oxide as a black pigment. Even manganese steel is prized for the sharp edge it can take. It's very sharp, manganese. It has an atomic weight of 54.938049. Its density is 7.470. Its atomic radius is 161 picometers. Its crystal structure is a cube. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that high variability in the atomic emission spectrum. Its electron filing order slightly went up for 4s. Mostly found as a gas, as most elements as we've seen so far are. It's sometimes found as a liquid, but more commonly found as a solid. And that is it. That is the end of today's episode, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next time. Until then, comrade. Bye bye.